Some cities are built on law, some are built on power. Night City is built on corpses. It doesn't matter where you started. A penthouse in Corpo Plaza, a gutter in Kabuki, a back room in some ripper's clinic where the air stinks of disinfectant and debt. The city doesn't care. It chews through people like a chrome-toothed machine, spitting out the lucky ones in body bags and the unlucky ones in parts. People come here chasing something, a dream, a future, a way out, a bigger cut, a better life, a shot at something more. But Night City doesn't deal in dreams. It deals in bodies, and sooner or later, it always collects. Some people think they're different, that they'll outplay the fixers, outlast the gangs, outgun the corpos. They all end up the same, pinned to a dirty morgue slab with a tag on their toe, another bad investment written off in some corpo ledger. Some go down fast, a bad deal, a fixer's betrayal, a bullet they never saw coming. Some go down slow, chained to debts they can't pay, caught in cycles they can't break. And some keep swinging. A bullet is easy, cold, clean. Coward's work. A bat? A bat means you want them to feel it. A bat means you're close enough to hear the ribs crack, close enough to see the fear in their eyes, close enough to make it personal. And in this city, personal is the only thing that's real. They used to laugh at him. The mercs, the gangoons, the corpo lapdogs with chrome-plated arms and smart guns that aim for them. What kind of gonk brings a bat to a gunfight? They don't laugh anymore, because they've seen what happens when the smart guns jam, the cyberware overheats, the chrome glitches. And the bat still swings. He tells himself this job is the last, the one that gets him out, the big payday. It's a lie, because Night City doesn't let go. And him? He doesn't know if he even wants it to. Maybe the only thing that ever made sense in this place was the weight of the bat in his hands and the sound it makes when it lands. Some people are born free. He was born owing. Didn't matter who, a fixer, a gang, a corpo exec who didn't even know his name. The eddies were borrowed long before he ever had a say. And in Night City, debts don't die. His old man tried, ran jobs for Valentino's, smuggled cargo for Maelstrom, got in deep with Tiger Claws, tried paying them off with a job that went sideways. Didn't matter. Interest stacks, and the city always collects. One day he came home to a bloodstain on the floor and a message on the hollow. Debt ain't paid just 'cause he's gone. Means it's yours now. That's how it starts. Not some corpo dream, not some grand rebellion. Just a kid in Haywood, no crew, no chrome, no chance. A kid who learned fast that money moves slow but violence moves fast. First time he picked up a bat, it wasn't for a job. It was because some gonk thought he was an easy mark. Some Maelstrom psycho wanted to carve him up. Some scav wanted to make a quick buck. One swing, that's all it took. Metal met bone. The body hit the pavement. And in that moment, he understood. Night City doesn't give, it takes. And if you want to survive, you take first. So he started swinging. For money, for survival, for the debts that never seemed to shrink. And people started talking. A fixer with a gig, a gang with an opening, some corpo looking for muscle that doesn't flinch when things get messy. It didn't matter, because every job paid the same, in blood. Some people spend their whole lives trying to pay back what they owe. He stopped trying. Debt, blood, the past, none of it mattered. Only thing that did was the next fight, and he made damn sure he never ran out of those. There's a moment right before a fight where everything slows down. A guy reaches for his gun. Someone flexes their chrome. A cyber psycho's optics whir to life, scanning for weaknesses. But none of that matters, because once the bat is moving, there's no stopping it. It's not about speed, not about precision, it's about momentum. One swing becomes two. Two becomes a rhythm, a tempo, a symphony of cracks and thuds and bodies hitting the pavement. A gunfight ends when the clip runs dry. A bat fight ends when someone stops moving. Denny's bat, gold-plated, built from rage, swung with enough force to make sure history remembers. Armor don't matter. Cyberware don't matter. Swing hard enough and everything breaks. A relic from another era. But in Night City, some things don't change. Some bats punish hesitation. Baby boomer, the first hit stings. The second rattles the brain. By the third, they ain't standing. Every swing stacks, every hit builds. A bat that don't stop as long as you don't. Some bats turn precision into execution. X-Mod 2, not just a blunt instrument, a scalpel wrapped in steel. Stagger them, leave them open, then pick where to land the final swing. With Barbarian, they don't get back up. With Severance, they don't get a second chance. And some bats rewrite the rules. Burn bat, set 'em on fire, watch 'em panic. Some try to fight through it. Some drop and roll. Doesn't matter. Fire takes its time, but it always wins. Vampiric Bat, every swing drains them dry. Their strength, their breath, their last chance to turn the fight around, it's yours now. They slow down. You don't. The longer the fight, the more they fade. Then there's EGGhanced, a mod so wrong it feels right. Hits land like a freight train, swings send bodies skyward. People don't just fall, they launch. Gunmen, gangsters, even cars, one good hit and they're airborne. Whoever made this? They weren't thinking about balance, they were thinking about chaos. And then there's Ultimate Quake. No cooldown, no limit, no escape. One slam and the ground breaks. Buildings rattle, bodies fly, and whatever poor bastard thought they had the upper hand, they're learning real quick that physics don't mean a damn thing anymore. A gunfight is corpo business. A bat fight, that's a street lesson waiting to be taught. Some armor stops bullets, some sells an image. His just proves he's still standing. Clothes in Night City ain't fashion, they're survival. They tell a story before you open your mouth, let people know if you're worth the trouble or just another easy payday. Some guys suit up like corpo enforcers, plated head to toe in high-grade polymers. Others roll with gang colors, throwing signs like it makes them bulletproof. Him? He wears what works. The backwoods Dodgers cap ain't about baseball, ain't about loyalty either. It's habit, something to keep the neon out of his eyes, something to pull low when he don't feel like being seen. The old plastic gas mask, not for breathing, more for keeping the city's filth, its smog, its cores, its expectations, out of his lungs. The jacket's an Emmerich's, plaid blue and green, the kind a dock worker might have worn before the dock started running on bots. Heavy enough to stop a blade if someone gets bold, loose enough to move when the fight kicks in. Beneath it, a neo-kitsch Palm Bay heat-resistant tank top. Fancy name, simple purpose, it breathes. It doesn't rip easily, that's all that matters. The Zenitex Alpine backpack isn't sentimental. It isn't some corpo survivalist gear with a biometric lock and an auto-pinging locator. It's just a bag, a place to stash medkits, stims, maybe a few things that don't belong to him yet. The pants are Ripper brand, black denim, reinforced at the knees, extra stitching where it counts. Then there's the Air Jordan 5. Some mercs have military-grade cyber legs. Some have corpo-issued armored boots that could stomp a skull flat. He has sneakers. Maybe he boosted them. Maybe he won them. Maybe they just fit right. Either way, they grip pavement like they were made for it. And in a fight, movement is everything. A second too slow and you're the one on the ground. His hands are wrapped in tuna gloves, brown leather with a red screen glow just subtle enough to catch in the streetlights. Not armored, not corpo made. Just enough grip to keep a bat steady when the swing needs to count. Around his wrists, a mess of gold Valentino bracelets mixed with reinforced bat wraps. Half street, half survival. One for the past, one for the fight. But it's the details that tell the real story. A Valentino machete holster, custom black, hanging at his thigh. Maybe he doesn't always carry a blade, but the option's there. The scattered pearls wrapped around his wrists, ankles, and neck. Impractical, but in the streets, a little excess isn't a crime. Somewhere in the mix, a glowing Valentino eye wreath flickers gold against the night. In a city that grinds people down to nothing, this is proof he's still here, still moving, still swinging. Night City doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how many zeros are in your account or how much chrome hums beneath your skin. You either survive or you don't. Some people buy their way to the top, others fight for every step. 3 things keep him standing: the strength to hit harder, the speed to stay ahead, and the endurance to make sure he is the last one breathing when the dust settles. Body, reflexes, and tech ability. It is not complicated. It is not elegant. Just the right mix of raw force, fast movement, and sheer survival. Every point in body is another reason he does not go down easily. Pain means nothing when adrenaline keeps him moving, and adrenaline rush makes sure there is always something left in the tank. The more he fights, the harder he is to stop. And when things get ugly, Juggernaut takes over. More speed, more power, more momentum. And when the bodies start falling, Pain to Gain pays him back in blood, making sure he lasts longer than anyone else. But staying on his feet is just half the fight. Because when the bat swings, it is not just about brute force, it is about devastation. The left side of the body tree takes every hit and turns it into an impact that can't be ignored. Wrecking Ball keeps stamina costs low, letting him swing without slowing down. Once he builds momentum, there is no stopping, charging into enemies, sending them flying, breaking their stance before the bat even lands. Breakthrough makes sure armor doesn't mean a thing. One strong attack and their defenses shatter, leaving them wide open. Then comes Quake, the kind of power that turns fights into earthquakes. Every swing already hits like a wrecking ball, but Quake brings the whole street down with it. One violent ground slam sends shockwaves through the pavement, knocking enemies flat, rattling the bones of anyone too close. And from mid-air, it is a superhero landing straight from hell. The higher the drop, the bigger the impact. With Epicenter, the effect spreads even wider. With Aftershock, the force refuels his stamina. With Ripple Effect, every enemy caught in the blast feeds his health back. But sometimes, one hit isn't enough. That is where Savage Sling comes in. When an enemy is too stubborn to stay down, he does not waste time finishing them with another swing. Instead, he picks them up and hurls them like a human wrecking ball, straight into their friends, straight through a window, straight into whatever poor bastard is standing too close. Stun them first and they don't even resist. And if they hit the ground wrong, they don't get back up. But strength alone does not win fights. Reflexes keep him moving. Strength means nothing if you cannot land the hit, and he is not the type to stand still long enough to get shot. Dash closes the gap before they even know what hit them. Air Dash keeps him mobile, even when there is nothing but open air beneath him. Mean Streak fuels his stamina, letting him chain takedowns like it is a sport. And Tailwind? That is the secret weapon. Every dash, every vault, every move gives him just enough back to keep the momentum rolling. Then there is Tech. Chrome changes the game, and he pushes his limits past what most people would call safe. Edge Runner lets him run hot, stacking more cyberware than most mercs would dare. License to Chrome makes sure every implant works harder, and Cyborg keeps his systems from burning out. More Chrome, more power, fewer cooldowns. But Chrome is not just about speed and power, it is about lasting longer than the other guy. Even when the fight drags on, the left side of Tech ability keeps him standing. Glutton for War makes every takedown recharge his health and grenades, and Borrowed Time throws him a lifeline when he is one hit away from the grave. Demolition Surplus makes sure he never runs out of grenades, and when the chaos builds high enough, Burn This City hands him another. And when it all ignites, Ticking Time Bomb ends it. Every time Berserk kicks in, an EMP charges up. 3 seconds later, it detonates, frying enemies, stunning them, and hitting harder the more Chrome he has installed. While it is charging, he takes half damage, turning him into an unstoppable force until the shockwave hits. By the time it blows, he is the only one left standing. It is not about stats. It is not about being some finely tuned corpo super soldier. It is about making sure he can take a hit, move faster than the next guy, and keep going when anyone else would have fallen. He does not fight like some Arasaka-trained solo with a combat chip whispering in his ear. He fights like someone who has been hit too many times to care, someone who has learned that the only way to win is to make sure the other guy does not get back up. Flesh alone isn't enough in Night City. Maybe out in the Badlands, maybe in some backwater town where the worst thing you got to worry about is a busted radiator or a bad hand at the poker table. But here, if your body's just skin and bone, you're already dead. You just don't know it yet. Chrome isn't a luxury, it's survival. And if you plan to carve out a life in this city with nothing but a bat, you better have something extra humming under the hood. Every piece of chrome in him serves one purpose: to keep him moving, keep him swinging, and keep him breathing long enough to make it to the next fight. At the core of it all sits the Militech Berserk. No finesse, no smart tracking algorithms, just raw, unfiltered violence. Stamina costs drop to nothing, attack speed surges, and every swing lands like a freight train. And when it burns out, every enemy left in the dirt feeds him back a chunk of health. Berserk isn't just about power, it's about making sure he never runs out of steam. Speed wins fights, and his nervous system keeps him ahead of the curve. Adreno trigger kicks in the moment the fight starts, pushing his movement into overdrive. Neofiber makes sure that when he takes a hit, it doesn't land clean. Mitigation chance, mitigation strength, all stacking to buy him those precious extra seconds. And when things turn south, Reflex Tuner slows time the moment he's on the brink, just enough to make his next move count. Stamina's the real killer in a fight. That's why his circulatory system is tuned to keep the tank full. Adrenaline booster ensures that every melee kill refills stamina, letting him keep swinging without stopping. Blood Pump doesn't waste time with slow regeneration. It kicks in instantly, flooding his system with a burst of health exactly when he needs it. And micro rotors, more speed, more swings, more devastation. Then there's the skeleton, the frame that holds everything together. Dense Marrow pushes every hit to the limit, sacrificing a little stamina efficiency for sheer impact. But that doesn't matter. Stamina's already covered. Epimorphic Skeleton adds to his max health, making him even harder to put down. And Rara Avis? That's just insurance, extra armor so that when he does take a hit, it doesn't slow him down. But the real secret? His skin turns defense into offense. Proxy Shield reduces damage from enemies that get too close, punishing anyone foolish enough to step into range. Shock and Awe flips the script. Every time he takes a hit, there's a chance he sends out an electric pulse, frying anyone in arm's reach. Then there's Pain Juicer, turning a portion of every hit into a slow bleed, stretching the pain over time, letting him take more than he should and stay standing when anyone else would have dropped. They think they've got him cornered, that one more hit will put him down. But by the time they realize he's still moving, still swinging, it's already too late. And when it comes to keeping him in the fight, his Frontal Cortex does its part. Axolotl keeps his cyberware cycling non-stop. Every enemy that drops knocks time off his cooldowns, keeping Berserk, Blood Pump, and everything else primed to go again. The faster the bodies hit the ground, the quicker he's back to full power. And Mechatronic Core. That makes sure he isn't just a nightmare for flesh and blood. Drones, mechs, turrets, machines built to chew through mercs like him don't stand a chance when he's swinging 40% harder right where it matters. Most mercs chrome up to be something they're not. Netrunners disappear into the net. Corpo assassins peel away everything human until all that's left is steel and a paycheck. But him, he's still flesh, still blood, still the last one standing when the dust settles. His cyberware isn't about being more than human. It's about making damn sure he never stops swinging. The city doesn't pick favorites. It doesn't care how fast you are, how much chrome you've got under your skin, or how many people know your name. The only thing that matters is who gets up and who stays down. And him? He's been getting up since the day he could throw a punch. A fight starts and he's already moving. No cover, no hesitation. Dash slips him through the chaos. Air dash keeps him airborne. Tailwind makes sure stamina never slows him down. He's already in their space before they even think about pulling the trigger. Then the bat swings. Momentum builds with every hit. Baby Boomer stacks the damage. Gold-plated bat shatters armor. The baseball bat X Mod 2 makes sure the right strike lands exactly where it needs to. Staggered enemies get punished. Weak points turn into kill shots. And Quake. Quake ends the fight before it even begins. One violent ground slam, and the pavement itself turns into a weapon. Bodies launch, legs break, enemies hit the dirt before they even get a chance to fight back. If someone's still standing after that, that's what Berserk is for. The second it kicks in, stamina cost drops to nothing, attack speed redlines, and every single swing hits like a freight train. By the time it burns out, Pain to Gain and Blood Pump make sure he walks away from the wreckage looking better than the poor bastards he left behind. And the fight never stops. Axolotl makes sure of that. Every time an enemy drops, cooldowns tick down. Berserk, blood pump, Quake. It all resets, ready to go again. The faster the bodies fall, the quicker he's back at full power. And if one of them is still breathing, he doesn't hesitate. That's what Savage Sling is for. One last insult, one final humiliation. Grab, throw, and watch them crash into their own crew like a human wrecking ball. Then silence. The kind that only comes when there's no one left to get back up. The city doesn't care how many fights you win. It only cares that you keep showing up for the next one. And him? He tightens the bat wrap, cracks his knuckles, steps over the bodies. Because in Night City, the fight never ends, and neither does he.